Every day, almost every American, 90% of us consumes caffeine in coffee, in tea, in soda, and lately, increasingly, in energy drinks. Well, tonight, a lawsuit alleges one of those energy drinks could be linked to a death, raising a question: how much caffeine is too much? ABC senior national correspondent Jim Avila gets answers.
Everyone knows caffeine can create a body buzz, make the hands shake, hearts palpitate. But in high doses like those found in the energy drink Monster, can it kill? The FDA says it has received reports of 5 deaths and 1 heart attack possibly linked to the energy drink, and it is investigating diligently, but is not confirmed they were caused by Monster.
She had no pulse, but her heart was still beating.
Wendy Crossland's 14-year-old daughter, Anise, died 6 days later and is one of those 5 deaths the FDA is looking into.
She had a 24-ounce Monster. That was it.
This picture of a too young to die teen has become the rallying call for a crackdown on energy drinks accused of marketing their hyper-caffeinated drinks to young people. Senator Dick Durbin held it up in the Senate.
She drank 2 24-ounce Monster energy drinks in less than 24 hours, and it took her life.
But is it possible for caffeine to be the true killer? Anise's death certificate blames cardiac arrhythmia due to caffeine toxicity. And of the most popular caffeine drinks you can down, Monster is way up near the top of the list. More than a Starbucks latte, more than 4 Cokes. And the energy drinks are built to chug. They even have large openings in the can.
We've seen most of the health risks associated with the consumption of energy drinks and not necessarily coffee. And one of the reasons for that could be that coffee is consumed while it's hot and more slowly.
But here's the thing. The adult lethal level of caffeine, generally recognized by doctors, is 5 to 10,000 milligrams, and it would take 31 to 62 cans of the 16-ounce Monster drank one after another to reach that point. Still, physicians warn all that changes with people who aren't healthy adults, such as children with underlying conditions like high blood pressure and heart trouble, as Anise had. As for Monster, it says they've sold 8 billion energy drinks and is unaware of any fatality anywhere caused by its drinks. Jim Avila, ABC News, New York.
A new report out tonight contains a real surprise. In just 4 years, the number of people who go to the emergency room after drinking energy drinks has doubled, from 10,000 to more than 20,000 people in the ER. So what has changed, and what are the drinks doing? ABC's Lisa Stark has a caffeine experiment of her own.
On YouTube, downing these energy drinks is a game. Lots of fun. But this new government study calls consumption of energy drinks a rising public health problem. Of those 20,000 emergency room visits in 2011, 42% reportedly had mixed the energy drink with another stimulant, like Adderall or Ritalin, or with alcohol. But 58% reportedly used energy drinks alone. So what might be going on to send someone to the ER?
Blood pressure goes up, heart rate goes up, and then they'll start to feel the effects. Heart racing, heart skipping, panic attack symptoms, irregular heart rhythms.
Caffeine is a drug, in fact, the most popular drug in the world. You can feel and see the effects on the body. I downed the equivalent of about 4 cups. Doctors took a look at my brain before caffeine, and here's after. The blood flow dropped 40%.
It's like a 40% drop in the blood flow to your brain. So that's a lot.
That lower blood flow is still within normal range, but those constricted vessels meant my blood pressure shot up. A cup of coffee alone won't send you to the ER, and the most popular energy drinks have less caffeine than that strong cup of coffee you buy out. So what's going on here?
There's other substances in them which are completely unregulated, which can add to the caffeine or the stimulant nature of the drinks.
Tonight, the trade association representing the beverage industry said the drinks are safe and denounced the hospital study, saying the limited information makes it impossible to understand the actual role, if any, of energy drinks in these hospital visits. Still, doctors are calling for a whole lot more study and are on the lookout for the next patient to come through the door. Lisa Stark, ABC News, Washington.
A warning tonight for parents who have teens that use energy drinks. The American Academy of Pediatrics says that kids should stop drinking them. A new study suggests the amount of caffeine in the drinks creates a serious health risk. Teresa Lalonde has the story.
Energy drinks have been big with the kids for years, with names like Red Bull, Rockstar, and Monster. They're marketed as health drinks, so you can play better, at least for a short period of time. The makers of these drinks sponsor sporting events. The BC Lions even have their own drink. This hockey coach says the drinks aren't for teens.
These products are basically aren't going to take the players to the next level. They're actually going to inhibit their development.
The drinks aren't sold to anyone under 18 at the rink, but it doesn't stop some players.
We do have kids that do stop at the local markets and find a way into the dressing rooms.
The drinks are loaded with sugar, but the biggest problem is the caffeine. To a child of 12, one tall can is like having one big, strong cup of coffee or 5 Cokes. Even for a heavier 15-year-old, there's limits.
The amount of caffeine in here is about the maximum caffeine that you would want them to be having in a day.
From all sources?
From all sources, and of course, this is just one drink.
Too much caffeine can cause muscle tremors, nausea, irritability, headache, increased heart rate, higher blood pressure, anxiety, and inattentiveness. And watch out for the natural ingredients. The herbs yerba mate and guarana contain caffeine. Guarana has twice as much as coffee beans. The drink makers claim herbs promote mental and physical stamina.
Wow, that's quite a claim. This would certainly not be my choice for somebody who's trying to improve their performance in sports.
Because the products claim health benefits, Health Canada is regulating them. They've even set up a toll-free number to keep a record of adverse reactions. Teresa Lalonde, CBC News, Vancouver.
All right, this is important stuff, folks. There's a new warning out there for parents this morning about those popular energy drinks like Red Bull. New research published today in the Journal of Pediatrics warns that these energy drinks may put kids at serious risk. Dr. Mark Siegel joins me now. He's professor of medicine at NYU Langone Medical Center and a member of the Fox News Medical A team, of course. Doctor, you know, these things are everywhere, right? Why would any parents let them take them in the first place, and what are the risks?
Everywhere, Martha. 30 to 50% of kids are taking these things.
Crazy.
I think the first problem is parents mix up sports drinks and these energy drinks. The energy drinks are loaded with caffeine. This study out of Miami shows that there's about 3 to 4 times as much caffeine in one of these things as a regular soda. And kids are having 3 or 4 of them a day. They get really jazzed up. We don't know how many kids have underlying heart disease. It's probably 10%. You know, then there's kids with ADHD that get wired. There's kids with diabetes that get worse with their sugars going up. There's a risk of heart attacks. There's a risk of strokes. There's a risk of liver failure. In Germany, New Zealand, where they actually study these things, they've found a lot of cases of this. Here in the United States, we're too lax. The FDA doesn't touch this because it's not a prescription drug item. They can only touch it when it's been deemed dangerous. So they leave it alone.
But, you know, in many cases, it's not being very clear in their advertising about exactly what it is that pumps you up and gives you all this energy. And as you point out, if your child, we've seen horrific, sad, tragic outcomes of children who have underlying heart conditions recently, as you mentioned, and also ADHD, which is very prevalent in our society. These kids cannot have that added stimulus, right?
Right. They can get arrhythmias. They can get palpitations from this. They can have actual heart attacks from this. It's the caffeine, but it's not just the caffeine. There's cocoa in there. There's green tea in some of these. There's all kinds of herbs that are
supposed to be good for you, right?
Well,
it's green tea.
By the way,
so
green
it's okay.
tea. Well, green tea is good for you.
But it's caffeinated.
But it's caffeine. No, but it's a stimulant. So you don't want to take the green tea together with the caffeine. Right. And also, when we have a cup of coffee, you and me, we're sitting here relaxed. A lot of these energy drinks are when you're exercising. Kids get dehydrated. They're already zooming at a rapid heart rate. And then you're adding this caffeine to it?
And also, I think this is a great point that you make. Kids don't get enough sleep. You know, we have to make sure that our kids get enough sleep, and then they won't need this stuff, right?
Martha, when they surveyed the kids why you take this, one of the main reasons they gave is we don't get enough sleep.
Terrible.
Then we need the energy to do our homework. So let's get it off an energy drink. Why do parents say, don't have a cup of coffee to their kids, but let them have this?
Right. Let them have a cup of coffee instead, right?
Exactly. Well, it might be better.
All right, Dr. Siegel, thank you very much. Very important because these things are everywhere. Thanks,
Martha.
We'll see you soon.
Great point about working out while you're doing this and dehydration.
Yeah, not a good idea.
Thanks.
shelves right now. We're talking about those high energy drinks.
And lots of different brands with the same goal, to give you an extra boost. Sarah Wall takes a closer look at what you're actually drinking. It's a Fox 10 News special report.
They're everywhere with promises to keep you focused, revved, and energized. But how do high-energy drinks really work? The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention just released a new study that found energy drinks can cause sleep problems and daytime sleepiness among U.S. soldiers in combat zones. The Food and Drug Administration is investigating claims that a high-energy drink contributed to the deaths of 5 people this year. And the state of New York is looking into whether the companies that make the drinks are misleading consumers about how much caffeine is in the drinks. So, are they safe?
Okay. So I'm measuring this window.
Britton McPherson is a construction superintendent. He turns to high-energy drinks, specifically Red Bull, to get his day going.
When I get up in the morning and go to work, just kind of gives you that little kick when you're having a slow morning.
And he is not alone. Energy drinks are the go-to solution for lots of busy people. In fact, the drinks have become the fastest-selling category in the beverage industry. The reason? They can give you an extra boost of energy. That comes mainly from caffeine.
It's a stimulant, so what it does is it crosses the barrier into your brain. It makes you be more alert, makes your heart beat faster, kind of focuses you.
In a new study from Consumer Reports, testers found that the amount of caffeine differs widely among drinks, with as much as 260 milligrams per serving. Compare that to a 12-ounce cola, which has about 50 milligrams of caffeine. In moderation, doctors say caffeine is okay, but in excess, or if you have a medical condition or are taking medication, it could be a problem.
Well, it can increase your heart rate to the point where your heart doesn't relax enough. And if you have underlying disorders, then that potentially, underlying disorders in the blood vessels, then yeah, potentially those aren't going to deliver enough oxygen to the muscle.
The other energy boost in some drinks is sugar. Once again, in moderation, experts say sugar is just fine, but too much can cause a change in your waistline.
And that weight gain can lead to being overweight, obesity, and that has a direct impact on increasing likelihood of diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and many other health ailments.
Experts say the key to these kinds of energy drinks is moderation and also some research and knowledge about your own medical condition. But they say these kinds of drinks are never okay for children.
Children should never, ever have high energy drinks.
Doctors warn caffeine can be dangerous for kids. It can lead to problems with concentration, behavior, and sleep. Instead, moms and dads should focus on making sure their children get enough sleep and filling them up with the right foods. Whole grains, for example, are a good source of energy.
And you really want to get those good whole grains. So your whole grain bread, your fruits, your vegetables, those natural things that are going to give you a good source of energy.
I have to measure each one.
But for Britton McPherson, as 50 to 60-hour work weeks add up, the convenience of an energy drink is hard to pass up.
I don't like coffee, and so just to give me that little energy boost in the morning, you take a Red Bull. I got a door inside.
And as long as he keeps an eye on his health and keeps moderation in mind, experts say he's on the right track.
Experts say you really need to check the labels before you drink a high-energy drink, but it may be difficult to find out the amount of caffeine in each one. The FDA does not require the makers of the drinks to list specific amounts. So we did some digging, and we have that information for you, along with more on high-energy drinks on our website, Fox 10.
Well, you could say energy drinks make it easy for you to add an immediate boost to your day, but according to new research, that energy burst comes with a consequence.
Consumer investigator Robin Taylor is here to explain. Robin.
Courtney and David, that consequence is potentially dangerous health problems, especially among teens and young adults. The options for a quick caffeine boost keep pouring in. The energy drink industry is projected to reach nearly $20 billion in sales this year, thanks to its most popular customer, teenagers.
Almost 1 in 5 8th graders drinks an energy drink every day.
That has experts concerned. Dr. Mary Claire O'Brien is one of 18 researchers who recently petitioned the Food and Drug Administration to restrict caffeine in energy drinks because they could be dangerous for young adults.
They are more sensitive to the effects of caffeine, in part because their body mass is lower, and in part because the majority of them are relatively caffeine naive compared to adults.
A new study shows energy drinks have an immediate impact on heart rhythm and can cause an increase in blood pressure. While most adults can tolerate this slight change in heart rate, teens inexperienced with caffeine makes their reaction stronger, with the potential to cause severe cardiac events, especially among those with heart problems. Many energy drinks are classified as dietary supplements and therefore have no limit to the amount of caffeine they can contain, unlike sodas.
We don't think it's safe based on the science, and we don't agree that the case has been made by the manufacturers that the levels are safe.
The American Beverage Association says research shows teens and young adults consume on average a third of the amount of caffeine as people over 21. The FDA says it may be advisable for teens to limit their caffeine consumption. They're assembling a panel of experts to discuss the topic. Robin Taylor, Channel 11 News.
Meantime, energy drinks. They are a staple for a lot of people who say they need them just to make it through the day. In a survey of nearly 500 college students, 51% reported consuming at least one during the last month. Of those, 29% reported weekly jolt and crash episodes. We'll explain that. 19% reported heart palpitations, and some even called poison control because of caffeine overdoses. Dr. Vandanya Bide is a local doctor certified in internal med and pediatrics, here to talk about what the big deal is with these drinks. Good morning to you.
Thank you for having me today, Stacey.
These have a ton of caffeine in them, not just but sugar. So they're not just fattening, but they are potentially dangerous. Tell us why.
Right. Well, the Food and Drug Administration does not regulate the caffeine content in energy drinks because they're considered food supplements. So, for example, in our cola here, this is regulated. This has about 35 milligrams of caffeine.
So when you say regulated, what does that mean? That if it exceeded a certain amount, they would be forced to reduce it?
Right. So there's no more than 70 milligrams of caffeine that's allowed in a 12-ounce can of any kind of soft drink.
Okay.
So this one has 35 milligrams, and it has the amount of sugar that's equivalent to 2 of those slices of cheesecake.
No, but when you look at it that way, wouldn't that get a lot of people to stop drinking it?
Right.
Okay, this Red Bull right here?
Exactly. So this is one of the earliest energy drinks that was on the market. And again, these are promoted as sort of enhancing endurance, improving performance, promoting an active lifestyle. And it's mainly because of the caffeine and sugar content.
And this is the equivalent of three
cans of cola and 2 slices of cheesecake. So the sugar content here, and then the caffeine content of the colas. And then here we have another popular energy drink, which has the equivalent of 5 cans of cola and 3 slices of cheesecake. So you can make your choices.
And then let's go to this
This is the big one, right? This is the monster. And this has the equivalent of 7 cans of cola and 4 slices of cheesecake.
Oh my
so it's really surprising. And if you look, for example, a lot of these don't even tell you what the caffeine content is. I had to call some of the manufacturers and look for the amount.
It doesn't actually say right here on the back.
No, it does not. Some of them do, but this one doesn't. And the problem, of course, is there's other items, things like guarana, other stimulants that actually are a form of caffeine.
But those are always marketed kind of as a natural product to boost your energy, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
But they're primarily through caffeine. And then there's other kinds of energy blends, ginseng and other items that are felt, although they're not proven, to increase energy.
Let's talk about what some of these people in this survey talked about. Weekly jolt and crash episodes. What does that mean?
Sure. Well, I think throughout the day, at least one time they will have a certain amount of drinks, so 3, 4, although they're only meant to have, one of these or half a can of these, they're drinking 3, 4, often mixing them with alcohol. And so, of course, that's very I mean, it's very dangerous. And what happens is that, especially when you mix them with alcohol, a lot of college students are doing that, is that because the alcohol is a depressant and the energy drink is a stimulant, they're not aware of how intoxicated they are. And so they'll drink more alcohol, and then, of course, they'll crash when all of that wears off.
And what does that do to the body? Is that kind of setting you up for diabetes later on down the road?
Sure. Well, the sugar content certainly is. I mean, and it leads to obesity, which of course leads to diabetes. But that up and down in the sugar content and the caffeine content will increase your heart rate, give you a sense of anxiety. So it's not necessarily that you feel calm and you're able to do your work, but you're actually more anxious because of the caffeine.
And let me ask you about people calling poison control. Can you OD on caffeine?
Yes, you can. And you can actually even have heart attacks, heart rhythm abnormalities. And so these are all things that have been documented in different poison control centers across the country.
Do you think the FDA will take over the dietary supplement market, at least when it comes to these energy drinks?
Well, as long as they're considered dietary supplements, they probably won't be regulated by the Food and Drug Administration. A lot of experts are saying that these are dangerous, that they're unregulated, that we don't know the caffeine and sugar content, and they should be taken off the market, or they should be considered a food so that they're regulated just like colas are.
So what do you advise people who drink these?
Be very careful, understand what you're getting, understand the amount of caffeine you're getting. And these primarily are promoted for teenagers and young adults. I would not recommend them for any children or teenagers because the amount of caffeine well exceeds what's safe, which is 100 milligrams for children. Mm-hmm. So be aware of what you're taking and make sure that you don't mix with alcohol.
All right, Dr. Vandana Bide here to talk about energy drinks and their potential danger to some people. Thank you so much, Dr. Bide.
Thank you for having me, Stacy.
It's the biggest setback in decades for dentistry. In spite of advances in technology and education, there is no competing with patients' addiction to sugary drinks.
And as News 13's Jay Silter shows us in this special health alert, some of the worst beverages for your teeth, maybe the brands you think are the best for you.
It looks good, sounds great, and tastes fantastic. But some dentists are calling it the cigarettes of this generation.
A lot of people, from the time they wake up, time they go to bed, they're drinking soda.
How bad did it get, though?
24, can boxes of soda on the floor a night.
Rampant decay is about the best way to place it. You could take x-rays on those patients and you see it. Lesions throughout the mouth individually, and we're mostly talking between the teeth.
It's an epidemic that's costing people millions and millions of dollars that is preventable.
And not just from sodas, but also energy drinks and sports drinks.
Played a lot of sports when I was younger, so it was a lot of Gatorade and sugary sports drinks.
Often showered as healthy alternatives.
The reality is really there's the same thing in Gatorade or energy drinks that there is in soda. It's just repackaged. Basically, it's water, sugar, and acid. And we found a couple of little areas here where we may want to do a little bit of work. What happens is when the acid affects the teeth, the pH in the mouth drops. When the pH in the mouth drops, the ability for decay goes up.
I've had so many fillings, I don't even remember how many I've had.
Those teeth are now at risk for root canals or crowns in the years ahead. Worse yet, leaving decay untreated.
One of the issues would be if you had an infection and that infection got large enough, it could move down because there's no stopping the infection from moving down to your heart, and you could die from actually what people end up dying from. One of the things is from an infection around the heart.
Potentially all because of too much soda or sports drinks.
You should see them as a treat. If somebody plays a game, they're done with the game, they have a Gatorade, great. Feel better about yourself, get your hydration back. Don't sip Gatorade all day.
Would you do it differently?
Yeah, sure would. And drink a whole lot more water, that's for sure.
Saving money on beverages and a lifetime of dental care that could easily surpass $20,000.
Dentists say if you can't kick the habit of sodas and sports drinks, then drink them quickly. Don't swish them in your mouth or sip on them throughout the day. Brushing, of course, is important, but flossing may be even more critical to removing the damaging sugars and acids trapped between the teeth.
Alcohol has always been a problem both on and off campus, and today there's an added threat. Mixing alcohol with energy drinks may be the latest fad, but as Robin Housel reports, it's also a recipe for disaster.
The Centers for Disease Control says alcohol consumption is responsible for over 79,000 deaths each year in the United States. Doctors are afraid that that figure could get even worse now that mixing energy drinks and alcohol has become popular.
You don't know exactly how the combination is going to affect your body.
Dr. Divin says mixing alcohol and energy drink can be a disaster because Red Bull and Monster stimulates the body and alcohol depresses it, and the results can be deadly.
And it's two powerful drugs. Caffeine is the primary energy source in energy drinks.
Even so, it's a popular mix for college students.
I know it's not safe. It's not something I do terribly often. I've done it before.
Yeah, I know plenty of people. They take a lot of shots with energy drinks, a lot of like Red Bull vodkas, that kind of thing.
Because I don't know how they would conflict with each other and how the reaction would be.
They say the alcohol and energy drink mix enables them to drink more without feeling intoxicated. While they may like that, Dr. Divin says that's just another danger to be avoided. Robin Housel, News 22.
Parents should be aware that energy drinks pose health risks and dangers to teenagers and college students. That according to facts discovered during a recent study done in England. The high caffeine content in these energy drinks can be detrimental because some teens and college students consume them in large amounts. Statistics now show a growing number of young people are being hospitalized because they drink too many of them. The study found that kids who overdo energy drinks are at significantly higher risk for anxiety, substance abuse, heart problems, and even death. According to recent news reports, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration is currently investigating whether energy drinks might be responsible for at least 18 deaths in the last 4 years. Caffeine is the main stimulant found in coffee, which of course has long been the favorite waker-upper for millions in the morning. Caffeine is also found in many popular soft drinks. Parents of high school and college-age students should educate themselves and their kids about the effects of the caffeine in these drinks. They should understand that caffeine is an addictive drug, meaning you have to ingest more and more of it over time to get the same feeling. The most popular energy drinks now on the market contain 3 to 4 times as much caffeine as an equal amount of Pepsi or Coke, and they contain just as much sugar. There are less dangerous alternatives to energy drinks, and there are healthier choices to sugary soft drinks. In fact, you may have recently seen TV commercials for a product called SodaStream, which is a drink you make with an inexpensive home soda fountain carbonator. You combine SodaStream drink mixes with seltzer water made by a SodaStream fountain jet that usually costs under $100. If your family drinks a lot of store-bought soft drinks, you can easily recover the purchase price in a relatively short time. SodaStream drinks generally have more vitamins but less sugar and fewer calories than most of the soft drinks you can buy in stores. Taste tests, like the one recently done on CNBC, indicate that SodaStream drinks taste as good as store-bought beverages. Click on the first link in the YouTube About section for more information about SodaStream. And if you want to look at some comments by customers who have bought SodaStream on Amazon.com, simply click on the second link.